Governments around the world are engaged in a coordinated effort to ruin cryptocurrency through regulations or through the outright banning of cryptocurrency, like we've recently seen in China. Now, if you just read the news articles about all of this and you take them at face value, then you might actually think that these governments are taking action against crypto to do things like protect the environment or to prevent more crime from taking place. However, both of these claims are false. For one, it should be pretty obvious that countries like the United States, China, and India don't have environmental protections that far up on their list of priorities. These countries, they consume more coal, more oil, and other fossil fuels than any other nation. They have far fewer environmental regulations in general compared to many countries in Europe, for example. And these countries are also some of the biggest contributors to pollution. Plus, if you do any real research into cryptocurrency and the technology that powers these different assets, then you quickly realize that not all cryptocurrencies are the same. Obviously, they are different projects that are trying to accomplish different things, but the proof of work coins, those are the only ones that have a significant impact on the environment since they use large amounts of electricity. It's required to mine them. And in the case of Bitcoin, ASICs are often used for the mining. These are devices that can't be used for any other purpose than mining Bitcoin. And then when a new, more efficient Bitcoin ASIC comes out, the old ones often become e-waste. Now, it is worth mentioning also that just coins that require proof of work, using electricity, some kind of calculations going on in order to mine the coins, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to be equal and being bad just because they use electricity. One major factor is how exactly is that electricity being produced in the first place. If it's being produced by burning coal, then obviously it's going to be much more harmful to the environment than if it's being produced through renewable energy. And of course, ASIC-resistant cryptocurrencies do not carry the same e-waste problem that Bitcoin does because, well, you can't use ASICs to mine them in the first place. And then, of course, there are proof-of-stake coins like Cardano or Solana. They don't carry the same environmental risk at all. You don't really need to use up a whole lot of electricity to mine them. And they also end up getting banned or regulated all the same. So there's no differentiation that's being made with these different cryptocurrencies in the countries that are taking action against them. Now, as for the excuse of banning cryptos to stop crime, that claim actually has something to it. However, the primary motivation for governments stopping crime is not to keep their citizens safe, it is to stop people from making tax-free income. It's also not for public health reasons. The public health impact by things like drug use pale in comparison to the impact of things like obesity that are largely caused by the availability of fast food and sugary treats that are laced with corn syrup. No, the real reason for these regulations against crypto are governments attempting to defend fiat currency. Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. And at the end of the day, law and order, the Constitution, property rights, none of these things mean anything if you are not paying people to defend it or if you're not willing to go ahead and defend it yourself. And these governments have access to the deepest pockets. They have the greatest money supply, especially if they are using fiat currency, because they can always just print more money. And of course, they can always raise taxes as well whenever they want to fund another never-ending war like the war on drugs or the war on terror. They just raise taxes and boom, they've got that money to fund the war machine. Crypto complicates this though, because it isn't issued by governments. Good cryptos aren't really issued by anyone, they're mined. No one entity controls the supply, and so it's pretty hard to justify giving unto Caesar that which Caesar had nothing to do with in the first place when the tax man comes a-knockin'. And the fact that it's digital means that the IRS can't raid my house and find a mattress stuffed with cash or loose floorboards with gold bullion underneath. Billions of dollars worth of crypto assets can be stored on a micro SD card smaller than your fingernail. Cryptocurrencies are the future, and this is backed up by the fact that government superpowers have started working on their own state-run cryptocurrencies. China is creating a digital yuan, and India is planning to launch a digital rupee as soon as this year. Now, you might be thinking that this is a good thing. If you're a crypto investor, surely if governments are creating their own cryptocurrency, then this will help with the adoption of cryptocurrency in general. More people are going to want to buy in. That means more people are going to be buying Bitcoin or Ethereum, and that the price is going to go up, right? Well, maybe. There's probably going to be gains in the short run as a result of this. I'm sure that some normies are going to feel safer about buying Bitcoin or Ethereum if governments are using their own cryptocurrency. That shows that it's becoming very much normalized. But these Fed coins themselves are going to be terrible. They're going to be much worse than the fiat that we currently have. For one, there's the tokenomics of these Fed coins, which are going to be the same as fiat. I highly doubt that you're going to be able to mine Fed coins, and even if you can, even if they make the infrastructure of the Fed coins more open so that people can go ahead and run their own nodes and contribute to the hash rate of the Fed coins, the feds are still going to have the ability to create more of this cryptocurrency whenever they feel like it. But what makes it worse than the current fiat model is the fact that these Fed coins are digital. With the fiat model, most people are, of course, operating in the digital space. They're using credit cards, they're using debit cards, PayPal, Cash App, whatever. But that all evolved from using paper cash and metal coins. We still have that legacy system. Okay, still to this day, most merchants will accept cash, and I assume that the same is true in any other country. I'm sure if you go to India and you want to buy some hash, you're not doing that with a credit card, you're doing that with cash. Using cash actually gives you pretty good privacy, as long as nobody is marking your bills, of course, and even then, I guess you could, literally launder your bills. Like you could wash them to possibly remove the ink, or check them under some kind of UV light to see if they've been marked in the first place. Or of course you could always just exchange those for different bills. You could go to the casino and you're not going to get the same cash back. Fed coins probably won't have any cash equivalent. They're already digital, so why would the government go back and then create physical cash for you to use instead, unless the Fed coins just happen to merge with the current fiat model, which, again, still carries the tokenomics problem, and without new cash being printed to replace worn-out cash, at least, one day these paper bills are going to all disappear. That will make it much easier for governments to dry up black markets. They won't totally disappear overnight, of course, as long as other cryptos still have value and people are able to exchange them for goods and services. You could just go on the dark web and see this going on for yourself, but cash could feasibly be phased out by digital state-issued money. That is closely tracked, and it gives governments more insights into your purchases and what assets you hold. And of course, this will also make it easier for the feds to streamline taxing you. Hey, do you think that we'll finally be done with W-2s once the United States creates a Fed coin? I'm not sure if India and China have the same system as us, but basically a W-2 is the tax form that most people get that shows the income from their jobs and stuff like that throughout the year. So the federal government, they already know how much money we make, and they take taxes out of our paychecks all throughout the year. But then we have to go through the process of doing our taxes, where at the end they tell us how much we owe or if we get some money back in a return. But typically, if you're middle class or you're making more money than that, you don't get a return. You end up owing even more. It's a totally unnecessary form and a totally unnecessary process. Well, for everybody, in my opinion, but unless somebody is paid in cash all year, the feds probably know exactly how much money you're making. So maybe that's a silver lining of the Fed coins. No more W-2s in our future Fed coin crypto dystopia.